Hi everybody, I'm going to go live with my friend Andy, and so when he joins, we will officially get started. Hi, I'm going to go live with my friend Andy. So when he joins, you know what, but I might do this thing of like turning off commenting. Hi, just because sometimes I get weird trolls. You're first. Hi everybody. When Andy joins, then we're gonna officially get started. We're gonna talk about transitions. You know what, I can't even remember. Okay, there. Sorry, I'm turning comments off, but the questions are still on. So when Andy joins and you hear what we're talking about, pop in some questions because we are talking about transitions and trust and how do you handle the future if it's unknown. Andy and I have a lot of things in common, but we also have two kids that just went off to college. And so, but we're going to talk about transitions in a way that might apply to you. If you're like, I don't have kids that are going to college, but maybe you're going through another transition, or there's something in your future that is a bit uncertain and unknown. And how do you go through this with trust and without anxiety? So let me see if I see Andy here, and I will invite him to join me. Not yet. I hope you're all doing well. It's a nice day here. I'm in Los Angeles. Let's see if Andy's here yet. I think I should see when he joins. And I'm sorry for turning off comments, but sometimes it gets very distracting. Okay, I think Andy's here. Great. Let me look to invite him. Andy, if you're here, will you request to join? Oh wait, there you are, maybe. Yay. Hi,
Hey,
we did it.
I didn't quite know how to do it, and then I figured it out. So I just
Yay.
started tapping buttons.
Oh, good. I know, it's kind of like once you do it, I remember my first Instagram live not really knowing how to do it at all.
Yeah. Well, this is my first, and hopefully not my last.
No, I bet it's
It,
the first of many.
it depends on how I do. If I fail completely, then it'll be my last.
You can't fail. You can't do it wrong.
Well, exactly. That's what I say all the time. But I'm human, and I have those stories running in my head. So
I know.
performance anxiety.
Yes, I know. And sometimes, my friend Barb said, like, you can get caught trying, which sometimes it's like embarrassing to be like, no, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I don't want someone to see that I'm trying.
Right. Right. No. The art of no efforting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
hi.
yeah, what have you said so far? Like I tried to get here more quickly, and then I got lost. So I hope you weren't, like, well, I don't know what I hope. Uh,
Yeah. I was saying that well, Andy and I have known each other 14 or 15 years.
yeah,
Andy owned one of the first CrossFit gyms, and the CrossFit gym that was my first time. I feel like actually that I felt strong. So Andy and I met uh, many years ago, but we've recently reconnected as both coaches and we have so much in common. And one thing I was sharing that we were going to talk about transitions
yeah,
and kind of the unknown and maybe the potential to go through a transition with trust, with how do you do that with if it's something's unknown or a bit out of your control?
yeah,
Is it possible to not have anxiety about it? I had shared that both of us have kids that have just gone off to college,
yeah,
but that this is applicable for whatever transition somebody is going through. But so that was just what I was starting off, and so um, now I'm like losing what I'm saying. But I also told people I did turn off the comments because every time I've gone live, I just get troll comments which distract me. But I left
yeah,
our questions are open. And so as
yeah.
Andy and I talk, feel free to pop in any insights you have too about what we're talking about. But if a question comes up, we will definitely make some time to answer that. But Andy, maybe I'll just pass it over to you. If you want to talk about kind of what, hopefully this is the first of many of our lives or a group that
Yeah,
we do together, because I know that Andy and I, there never seems to be enough time whenever we get together.
never.
And
Oh my God, never.
and so this time we're talking about transitions and what kind of inspired you to want to talk about this?
I mean, I'm going through a big one, with my kid going off to college. It's probably bigger for me than for people that have more than one kid. Like, you still have one at home. So I don't mean to minimize it at all, but the, it's been very jarring for me and for my wife. And I mean, our life is going on as normal and everything's great. Like, I don't want to paint the picture that I'm in some way, shape, or form, like, depressed or like things are miserable, but it's not been easy. And it's not like I could just take a couple aspirin, get a good night's sleep, wake up in the morning and feel okay, because there are these constant reminders that, um, in a way, my job's done. I know it's never done, really. As a parent, it's just shifting forms. But and it's a job that I gave myself, really, 20, well, 18, 19 years ago, that I really loved. I loved, and I organized my whole life around it. And so it's unsettling, in spite of thinking I was prepared. Like, I knew it was coming. I equate it to like having a baby, the first baby. Like, you can prepare, but nothing prepares you from the moment that they hand you that little thing and say, "Okay, go ahead and go home with it." I'm like, "What? Well, how do I do this?" So yeah, that's why it's very present for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love when you also started, because you talked about the grief. I know this was in a while ago, maybe, but when you were talking about like feeling unsettled,
Yeah.
all of the feelings that are coming up that, because so many times it can be tough to feel something that feels uncomfortable, you know, like to just feel unsettled or to feel missing. Because I do have a child at home, but sometimes it like bowls me over, like
Yeah.
that I miss my daughter, and that she's not. I mean, we won't have back what we had. We have something new.
Right.
Um, but I know that people watching, whether it's live or you're watching this or recording, everyone like recording. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable to feel uncomfortable feelings, and we can have a lot of resistance, which then makes it like more intense and stay longer. So how are you, also, I guess what I want to say is just because something's tough doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, which I know but if anybody listening, because sometimes we think I shouldn't feel this way. I think you and I had talked about it.
Yeah.
Wait, I should just be happy because my child's at college. I should feel this. I should be enjoying my alone time with my partner now, or whatever it is. Or I don't even know. It's like this judgment or this resistance that can make the feeling last longer, feel so much more uncomfortable. But sometimes it's like, what do I do with this unsettled feeling?
Hmm.
Um, what's helping you?
You said a lot there. There was, it was funny, like, as you were talking, I kept thinking of things to say as you were saying them, and then now that you passed it off, I'm like, wait a second, what did I want to say? um, I think that, well, one of the things that I think is really hard, especially for men, is to be okay not being okay. Like, and I'm not biased in any way. I don't want it to be that way necessarily, but in my work with men and all the work that I've done on myself, like, there's this continuous pattern to prove that I'm okay. you know, like you're taught from a very early age, big boys don't cry. And, you know, I have a whole lifetime of stories about making sure that I'm a big boy. And, you know, whether it was in the Marine Corps or whether it was, you know, going to the CrossFit games or like all these experiences in my life that have been about proving my enoughness and proving that I'm okay. And well, it's not true. I mean, it's not that it's not true, but it's also not the truth because I feel that the breadth of human experience is a rainbow of experiences. Not there are no rules. And if we're going to really be human, like it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, sadness is part of that. So is grief, so is love, so is surprise and joy and happiness. So to disown that aspect is something that I've had to do a lot of work to reverse, like to let myself be okay, like in tears one morning for no reason, um, or to let myself get emotional, you know, just because I am. The other day I put on a playlist that it's funny. When I was running the Whole Life Challenge, one of the one of the weekly practices we came up with is play pick a song that's your happy song and play it at least once a day, and you can dance to it or you can do whatever you want to it. And instead of one song, I couldn't come up with one song. I had like lots of songs, so I created a happy 911 playlist, like happy emergency, and it has just grown and grown and grown. And my son loves this playlist. And so now I put it on, and at least some of the songs remind me of him because there are songs he's added or he's really liked or we sang together. We used to sing um, Phil Phillips. He won American Idol one year, and his I mean that's kind of fitting. His song's name is Home, and we sing it together on the way to school. Like when I was taking him to school, he was in like seventh grade, and this song would come on, and we would just sing at the top of our lungs and sing it together. And you know, a song like that. I mean, even just right now, just talking about it, I feel this lump in my throat starting to form. Like, Jesus, got to get through this without fucking crying right now. um, but not doing that, letting myself have the emotion, like having the courage to not shut it off, to tell myself, be a big boy, to because it's just part of it. It's part of me.
Yeah. I know I could feel myself feeling emotional when you were talking. And I think so often it is like, okay, well, this isn't the time. And, you know, I don't know. I think
Right.
sometimes, especially if you've been trying not to feel emotional, it can feel like, well, if I start, it's never going to stop. You know,
Right. Right.
like if I just start crying, am I going to just fall apart? And you know, is it going to be so big and ugly and like just last forever and I'm not going to be able to function? Like for me,
Yep.
there was some things of, um, and then it's like actually sometimes I do cry for a while or whatever it is, but almost it always stops, you know. And sometimes I'm like, well, that was so short, you
Right.
know. Um,
It was funny because one of my I don't know why this popped in my head, but one of my morning practices is to practice love, like loving someone else. And when I do it, which I don't do it all the time, I usually send a text message to somebody and tell them about how awesome they are, or like how awesome they are in my life, and when you know. And so this morning I was thinking, okay, I should really do this. That's implying that I'm not going to do it. I should, but I'm not. I don't feel like it. Oh, that's a lot of energy, and then I just thought, okay, that's a good sign that you should do it. And so I wrote a little text message to my wife, and I just said, you know, the world's a better place because you're in it. And I was filled with so much joy. Like I did this is what happened. And it was weird because like I I couldn't have predicted that. I was in a bad mood actually. I didn't want to do it. And then it created this inside of me, and it was like, who was this for? Was this for her or was this for me? um and she didn't get it for like 10 minutes because she was showering and stuff, and I had my moment, and when she did get it, it was great, but it wasn't like that was for me.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know, that just has become part of my practice of allowing myself to have the feels.
Yeah. I just saw a question somebody had talked about actually their child going off to kindergarten, which it made me think of another practice that you had talked about. But so, because I know it's interesting because we're talking about college, but it can also be this transition of, this mom had said her son's going to kindergarten next year, and she has grief and anxiety, not knowing what happened to him
Yeah.
when he's away and he's young, and what if he can't advocate for himself, or what if something happens, which I know is different, but actually similar to this in a way, potentially loss of control or surrender or the unknown. And I don't know if we don't need to go here, but it also made me think of you had shared and that when you would wake up in the night, like that practice of like something, the love kind of rising to meet it.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
just felt
Yeah.
like that was such a, um, I don't know. But so we don't have to go there. But if you share it later, unless you had something, did you have any concerns when Dasha was going to kindergarten, or do you see any potential connections now between the both of these transitions of a child not being home with us, whether it's to kindergarten or college?
That's a great question. And I think one of the reasons we titled this talk Transitions is because it's happening at every stage of life. It's happening at work. You go through big transitions at work. You go through big transitions at home. You go through big transitions as a parent. You go through them with yourself, with your family. So I absolutely get that. I didn't have that. My story, but my whole world around this vulnerability, I had studied it for 20 some odd years. And I got a master's in spiritual psychology and all these things, but it didn't really uh, materialize. It didn't really come together for me until I had an event that was so overwhelming that I couldn't run. I couldn't hide from it. And so when my son was in kindergarten, it was 10 years, 12 years before that happened. And so I was footloose and fancy free. Like I didn't get these big, huge feelings that get me stuck. And I wouldn't have even really been able to relate. I could hear it. I could talk about it. I know the techniques to use to help people through it, or I did. I still do, but I wouldn't get it at the level that I get it now. Because it's not just something that you can just, like I said before, take a couple aspirin, get a good night's sleep, and it goes away. It's not. It's a story that you're just telling yourself over and over and over again. That I mean, there's all sorts of elements to it. We live in a world that's so easy in a way. We're not fending for our life. We're not fighting for our survival. We're not worried about where the next meal, for most of us, we're not worried about, if we're watching Instagram lives, we're not worried about where the next meal is going to come from. Um, and so we have created a false narrative around fear that's really made up. And we activate our own fight or flight and sympathetic nervous system that creates fear and panic and worry inside of us around something that might or might not happen in the future that we have no capacity to control. And we send ourselves into these nervous system tailspins, and um, it's a it's a habit that it's like you open up a you first open it's like when a stream or maybe a trickle then turns into a little bit bigger than a trickle, and then a stream, and then it turns into a river, and then it turns into a freaking flood.
Oh, wait, now I can't hear you. You maybe got muted. Okay, I think you're back.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I have a Instagram limit switch that just activated. Like I've been on too long on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, I'm always like, turn off. Yeah, I have it too.
Yeah, yeah. And so you know we're we've got this prediction mechanism about a story that we've made up that hasn't happened. It's not necessarily true, and we've then taken it to the extreme. Like this could be the end of my relation. This could be the death of me or my son or my kid. Or I mean, I that was part of the downward spiral that I went through when I dropped him off for college. And just like it's a um, it gains ease by repeating it more often. Just as that happens, it can be turned off the same way by recognizing the by looking at your thinking. I mean, this is really the area that you focus a lot on is in the three Ps and the coaching work you do is thinking is going to happen, but you don't have to buy it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to buy into it. How do you talk about that? Like in this world?
Yeah, well, I think my biggest habit of worry, and I worry, I used to worry like 95%, I feel, especially about my
I
kids,
mean, I
you know.
knew you as as a very worried, like fitness
Yes,
student, very
yes,
worried about if there was something that was going to be concerning, you would bring it up and you would have the worry.
yes, yeah. And I thought worry was necessary. I
Mm-hmm.
thought somebody has to worry to keep everybody safe. And I had that from a belief very early on because my parents are much more carefree, as is my ex-husband. And I was like, well, I guess it's got to be me. And I'm gonna, and so I didn't know. Now I know that worry isn't clear thinking. Like worry is this fear that's distorted. But I, um, so when I would, starting from when I was a little girl, like I would have these worries about my parents dying in a car crash and robbers breaking in, I would get a bad feeling. And I
Yep.
thought, well, now there's some truth to it, So when I would worry about my children, luckily I have not had this habit of worry for the majority of my son's life, but when it would start this bad feeling, I thought because I feel it strongly, it must be true. And I would then kind of ruminate and think and worry because I thought it was going to help me keep everybody safe. Um, and sometimes it looked like that, like, oh, I was appropriately worried. And so now, though, I worry, I don't know if I just don't worry as much. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely my habit of worry will be about my kids and especially my son. Because for some reason, when my daughter, like the older she got, it was like, she's good. But so when I get a feeling of worry, because it's not my norm, I'm like, ooh, my thinking's unclear. Like the worse it feels, the less true it is, So, and especially it depends. Like sometimes if I'm like, everything's good, something might have, if I have something, I can pop back out of it. But like right now, because what's happening in my life, there's a lot of other things. If like one thing happens with my son or something, I like get gripped initially, but I'm like, ooh, I know I'm not clear around here. So like the feeling of worry lets me know my thinking is predictably distorted. And so like the worse it feels, the less true it is. So I don't like I'm like, oh, Hannah, hands off here, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I also don't, I'm like, I have so much compassion for me because I know, oh yeah, like that's an area like my son, um, that my thinking might get shaken up. But if it feels shaky and edgy and urgent, it's not clear. But I know, so like, but I'm not like, I have to stop immediately, or I can't believe I did it. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But so for me, like have a lot of love and compassion for myself. Um, and I just will kind of have a knowing, oh, I might not be thinking clearly here, but I know that I will always settle. And so my feeling is my guide. If I feel nervous about something or speedy, I just know it's not clear. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like if I feel, and I know for me, it doesn't mean that I don't ignore things. It doesn't mean I don't take fabulous care, because I realized, I think there was a misunderstanding that if I wasn't worried, if I wasn't like putting a lot of pressure, what if I like neglected my son? What if, and it was like, oh my gosh, no, like I can have a good feeling. I remember when I saw that being carefree isn't careless, and so I might be a bit more thoughtful, or not thoughtful, but like I might think in different areas, but like my children's father, he's not careless. He's a bit more on this side of carefree. Um, so that's like my practice now. My habit, I think, is more pausing and letting it be there. When there's a feeling of worry, it's like I just let it be there, but I don't get my hooks in it, and I don't start trying to plan from that place.
So you use the feeling that you're having as almost like an early warning mechanism, like something's off here.
Yes.
Not I think what most people do is they use that feeling as, holy shit, I'm not seeing something that could like jeopardize my life, and I need to be worried and concerned and afraid that this all could, go to shit at any moment.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I know, because I've done that for most of my life, whether it's like
Right.
microplastics or school shooting
Right.
or
Right.
like
Right.
cell phone shit. I don't fucking know, like it's like before it's like, oh my God. And then I want to, because like, then I want to run away to the mountains,
I
like,
had to
cause
get I had to get away from the biohacking world because I was started to go down that road. Back when I was doing the whole challenge and it was everything paleo this, and that's when biohacking was really getting started. And I was like, okay, this is a door into a world that has no bottom, and like it doesn't serve my thinking. I didn't know that then. I didn't have that language then, but somehow I knew, like, don't do this because I can get obsessed by it.
yeah, I didn't know that. I came into paleo right around the time my daughter was going to eat solid food. And I had been a vegetarian, and I was like, I don't know, am I going to feed her meat? And then it was like paleo. And it was like, well, if I feed her, she was like a blank slate. And it was like, if it was like, if you eat this way and you avoid these, no physical and mental illness. And I'm like, my God, fucking fabulous. And I'm like, in LA, everything's going to be organic, pasture raised, non-toxic. But
Yep.
there was no end, because then it was like, but
Right.
now it's the food. And I also then didn't want her to like die of anorexia. So I would be in
Right.
this thing of like, well, I want her to like have slight ease with food, because I knew enough about that. And so I'd be at preschool parties and things, like literally having a heart attack because she'd be eating a piece of pizza and a cupcake, and it would be like all the horrible stuff. And but it was like, I didn't know that. And then I went very deep down. Like, I mean, we never ate takeout. I made my own cleaning products. I made my own beauty products, only stuff from the farmer's market. And this has gone on a tangent, but
Yeah. Yeah.
my body like, our body is so wonderful that I looked like the picture of health. But I just want to say, who knows? Like, if you're there too, my daughter and I can laugh about it now, and she can tell me the little impact it did have. But it was, and she's 18, thriving, healthy. But it can be so tempting. And that's where it's like, I, saw that for me, well, like, because I never want anyone to just think what I believe, what I say. Worry, it is the most detrimental thing. Like, it clouds us, and so, yeah, that's when I get this feeling. It's like an early signal that with clear thinking, I'm going to take really good care of myself and I'm going to enjoy my life, And so if to kind of wrap up, if it was me and I would notice a feeling of worry before my child was going to go to kindergarten or go to college, um, for me, this is me, so much compassion because I wouldn't want to have the judgment that I should be feeling any other way. It's like it's like compassion, understanding, and just knowing you don't need to go there. Your peace and your safety and your kids' safety, like it's very obviously like the wrong road. And there's a different way, which actually, if there is something that might occur to you to say to the teachers or say to your child or to do, it will occur to you in a clear mind, you know, and you're going to save yourself a lot of suffering and confusion in the process.
Well, you touched on something there that I think is really important, going back to the transition conversation, which is self-judgment. The judgment, and a lot of people don't even really see that it's judgment. I should be somewhere else. I should be doing something else. I should have solved this already. This is something I've already worked on. I should be at a different level at this place. This shouldn't upset me.
Yeah.
I should be a better parent. I should be a better, like I mean, for me, I'm a coach. I shouldn't be going through this. Like, I'm supposed to be the example of how to do all these things really well. And I shouldn't be going through grief because I know how to process all of it. And that self-judgment is my first teacher used to call it self-beating. And she would tell all of us, this is like 30 years ago when I first that I didn't even know that I was hiring a life coach. She didn't call herself a life coach, she was like a clairvoyant, breath of light in a world of not so much light. And she would say, boy, you all have so much self-beat in you. You've got to get it out. You've got to get that self-beat out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not judging it was very hard to even see because I was so busy proving my worthiness. I was only looking at my achievements, my medals or my finishes of races or my Red Bull sponsorship or, like, what are you talking about, lady? Like, I remember saying that, having those kinds of conversations. Look at my wall of prizes and awards and accolades. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not self-beating. Look, my life is fantastic. But it was all kind of a farce to prove to myself that the story I was telling myself isn't true. And it works for a while, until it doesn't work. And I think that you did such a beautiful job of saying that in your reply, like so much compassion, because no one because people are right where they are. And if you don't see it, and you don't like me, I always call myself one of the slowest learners. I mean, I've been at this for 30 freaking years. Like, I should have this by now already, for God's sakes. I haven't done this exercise, but I probably should. How much money I've spent over 30 years doing this. If it's $1 million, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, ridiculous amount of money. And I'm not like some just independently wealthy. I don't have some trust fund that I can just spend money on this. When I hired her, I had no money. I was a massage therapist. I went into debt to pay I was paying about $1,000 a month to work with her. But you are where you are, and you get it when you get it. And I think part of me knew that I just needed to be around this kind of conversation. And I had to learn to not judge my position, not judge my place, not judge my speed of learning. Because that's the biggest problem that I see when I look around in the world. It's not addiction. It's not drugs. It's not alcohol. Those are solutions. Those are solutions to problems. I feel like shit, so I'm going to have a drink. It works. It's great. It totally works. I mean, I do it sometimes.
Until it doesn't work. I know.
Until it doesn't work. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But letting go of the judgment of yourself that you shouldn't be doing it.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, because I think the judgment, it's so, I love this topic of conversation because I think we think, well, if I beat myself up, if, then I'm not going to do it anymore. And it's like,
Right,
actually, when you
right.
surrender and allow yourself, there's so much love and compassion. I think if you saw that, oh, now I'm having a drink every night, actually with love and compassion, you would be guided to take a different approach. Like if it was like, this is happening every single night,
Right.
I think people think if I accept and allow and love, am I gonna just be a fucking piece of shit who drinks all the time? It's like actually
That's, yeah,
the opposite. Like, am I
right.
gonna not go to work and neglect my kids? Because I think we think if I judge, I'm gonna change. But
Right.
actually, when we judge, we feel worse.
It's
Like,
it's part of the machinery that we have as human beings that we're born with. But well, we're born with the machinery, and then we create. And because we've never seen it any other way, for 30, 40, 50 years, that's how you're doing it. That's how your thinking is. And so it's very difficult. I mean, I'm working with a client right now who, it was funny because we had a session yesterday, and uh in real time I was showing her how much her self-judgment was getting in her way and stopping her, and she was using alcohol. It was basically the same conversation we're having. And in real time, she, like, she wasn't getting an analogy. I gave her an analogy of if you're in New York City and you want to navigate yourself, you've never been there before, and you want to navigate to, say, like the Empire State Building, what's one thing you can do? Well, she wasn't getting it. She wasn't getting the answer. And then in the middle of the conversation, she's like, "You must think I'm so dumb." And I'm like, "Wait a second, you just did it." Like, do you see how quickly you go to the judgment of you for the thing that you think you should have down? It's so woven into the fabric of your personality, of your way of operating, your way of seeing, that you don't even see you're doing it. And there's no compassion and there's no love, and you think that by not letting yourself off the hook, or if you do let yourself off the hook, you'll never change. And by letting yourself off the hook, you're condoning it. You're like, well, this must mean I'm saying that I'm just going to be an idiot forever.
yeah, yeah. And it's the opposite because I think the nature of anything is that it wants to change. And I think
Yeah.
the nature of love is of the highest good. You know what I mean? And so I think it's this misunderstanding that if I accept and allow and love, what if I don't reach my goals? And what if I like worse than that? What if I am unhealthy or poor or neglectful? And it's like, oh my God, the opposite is true. And you're going to really enjoy your life. Like that's what I've seen
Right.
from being stress and pressure and like, it's also funny because sometimes like I didn't think I was a perfectionist because I'm like, well, I'm not really perfect. Or like I didn't even identify as a high achiever because I'm like, well, I still don't make $1,000,000 and I'm not like 100 pounds. Like, and it's like, actually I'm fucking pretty good. But it's like, when people would sometimes like say things as an outsider, I'm like, wait, I'm a piece of shit though. Like you're saying that but it's actually like the truth because then you'll enjoy it. What I've seen is like, I enjoy parenting more. I enjoy business.
Right.
I enjoy
Right.
my life. There's also still room for me to grow. I too am a slow learner and I fall into pressure and thinking more. I think about work as a primary breadwinner and single mom and things like that. Like I can forget that was an insight that I realized, oh wow, I've fallen back a little bit to putting pressure on myself because I think if I don't put pressure, what if I neglect my business? But I've seen the opposite. When I'm not living from a place of worry and fear, I take really good care of myself and my kids and my friendships and my health, and I enjoy my life. And I really,
You just froze. Hold on, you're talking and there's no sound.
now,
Oh, you're back. You're back. You're back.
it was my Instagram limit.
We're definitely thinking on the same lines. Mine is a little bit too short.
Yeah, I have an hour. What about you?
I think I have like 20 minutes. But if I get to it, I never say, I always say ignore it for today. So it really doesn't help.
I know. I also say ignore, but sometimes I'm proud because sometimes I say ignore and then I just go on for a few more minutes and I'm like, look at me. An
Right.
hour though is I think I almost am over an hour, but that's an aside.
Yeah.
Because I've just loved what we're talking about, and I'm curious, Andy, if you because you talked about one of your clients. Will you tell us a little bit more about the coaching you do? And if someone's like, I'm loving this conversation, Andy, where can I learn more?
Yeah.
Can I work with you? Or
Yeah.
like, where, because I think one, it's always lovely to have different voices, but especially what you've talked about um, being a man. And I don't know, I just also women or
Yeah.
however you identify. Um, Tell us more about
Well,
your
sure. I
coaching.
mean, look, I mean, everything that we're talking about is stuff that this is just, these are like so part of the normal vernacular conversation that I'm having all the time, like with all my clients. But, people normally come to me when they're stuck in some way. They want to be more successful. They want to feel more meaning or purpose in their life. They are struggling with a relationship. They're struggling with, their boss or their colleague or their coworker or their co-founder a lot of times, and or they've hit a ceiling in their success, whether it's in their business success or their financial success. Most people are operating from the standpoint of, I want the things out there to get better, the outside of my life. So I want the my relationship to get better, or I want to drive a better car, or have a nicer home, or live in a different city, or and um what I help people start to see is that approach has a very limited um capacity to succeed. And sometimes you have to do that for the first 30 years of your life before you're willing to entertain the idea that, hey, this isn't, I don't have the energy anymore to keep doing this. Like, that's another thing that happens when you're like 50 or 55 or 60. And for some people younger, is they're like, this is just a treadmill that I can't get off of. And I'm miserable in it, and I don't see how to get off of it. And I don't know what to do. And that's the stuckness that I'm talking about. Sometimes people realize it's their own internal stuckness. A lot of times they think it's stuckness with something else, with a relationship or with a family member or with their business. Um, I worked with kids, not asterisk, like young adults. I work with young adults. I work with men and women. I work with, I've the youngest person I've worked with is 21, and the oldest is 65. No, 70, 70. And it's really interesting too, like how varied the the um, age. I used to always think that my ideal clients are somewhere after the age of 50, because you need a certain amount of life to realize that the strategies you've used to get you where you are won't get you where you want to go. But it's not true. Like, I mean, I think I realized that when I got my first teacher, I was 30. Um, I don't know that I would have recognized that was what was happening. I just was like, I got to be around this person. I got this is like fresh air, and I've never breathed fresh air before. Um, but now, see, I believe, in spite of the tumultuousness of the way the world the things that are happening in the world, I believe we're rising. I believe that this is a move into a whole new way of relating to one another, and like a new earth, like Eckhart Tolle talks about a new earth. And it's always darkest before light. It's always coldest before dawn. and not everybody's going to go through. I don't even know what that means, really. I'm parroting now what other people have said, but like there's a fabric, there's a framework of loving that, when not present, which is most of the time in the world, there's this, I'm gonna beat you into submission, I'm gonna win. There's a debate going on and there's a fight. And we're starting to wake up to the fact that it doesn't matter how right or righteous you think you are, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And it never has. We've been doing it for 2,000 years, 3,000 years. It doesn't work. Like, isn't it about time to try something else?
It's interesting because you're talking about the outside world, but also some of our conversation has been the fight that happens on the inside.
Right.
That
Right.
it's like, isn't, and I also believe the same thing. And I love this conversation because I know a lot of my clients too, like, we still want to have hope for the world. There are people that are just bringing children into this world. And
Yeah.
my nephew is doing a gap year and he's in Indonesia. And he
Cool.
sent this email and it was like, um, it was just amazing. And I think like I feel very hopeful about our future too. Like, I was just like, it's like our kids are in the United States at college, and I have so many of my friends, but it's like I see these kids and I'm like, yay, like they are amazing. And my nephew who's Indonesia living in, like, I don't know, it's like, yes, I just that through love, I know as cheesy as that sounds, but it doesn't have to be like right and wrong. And I just know that there are people that are going to really appreciate so much of this. And to your point of, like, I can really relate to that. The first part of what you were talking about of your clients, it's like, well, when I make a bit more money and if my relationship's happy and maybe I get more fit, it's like, then I'm good new. And it's like, actually, then the carrot keeps, I remember one of my coaches talked about like the $600 million man, because at first he had like $600 million, but he kept being like, to him, it was like, but it could all go away tomorrow. And
Right.
he kept being like,
Right.
when he made his first million, okay, now it's going to be 10 million, 100 million. Then I'm
Right.
going to feel secure up until
Right.
600 million. And so when we think our security is going to be in something, it's like, it's not,
Well, and
and
it's been thousands of years of culture that got us to here. So it's not anybody's fault that they think this way. It's, our parents had it, our teachers have it, our everybody has it. It's all over. But what I see, one of the things I love about Instagram is I've curated my feed to be filled with this message, like up, like we are rising, we're on the rise. Like, this is the way to look at things. This is a way to experience. I know that a lot of people talk about the dangers of pigeonholing the information that you receive, and only seeing it in one way, but I don't see any, for humanity, I don't see any choice. Like, this is what's happening. And um we're going to move into the next, whatever you call it, dimension, age. It's already happening. Like, it's even outside of our ability to control. And the question is, do you want to be on the bus? Do you want to be on the train? Do you want to be on the ship? Do you want to, or not? And it's time to rise. And it's fucking hard. I think people forget that for the phoenix to be, they always refer to the phoenix or the butterfly, but they forget that the phoenix had to burn. Had to burn. You know how painful that must be? I've never burned myself, well, I've burned myself, but not on fire.
not on fire. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just like the butterfly, like melts and dissolves. And I
Yeah.
think that's where, like, I think it was Alan Watts who said, life is not out to get us, it's out to evolve us or to grow us. Life is not
Yeah.
out to get us, it's out to grow us. And what I've seen for me is that one of my mentors said, like, I'm a lifelong learner. And when I first heard that, all I wanted to do was like stop having anxiety and panic. So I was like, I'm not interested in this lifelong learning. Like, let me learn this fucking skills. And now I'm like,
Right.
I'm so okay to be a human that I don't know if I'm going to be enlightened in this lifetime.
Right.
But I really do see, like, because I've had a lot of stuff happening in my life, and not to sometimes even make it about me, but it is my life, me. When I think it, I'm like, oh, here's like sounds so cheesy. I want to like stab myself in the eye. I'm like, ooh, like here's an opportunity for me to grow. Like sometimes I like hate myself when I hear it because I was thinking and I thought, oh my God, it's so cheesy. It was like, maybe you can just feel and you don't have to think. And I was like, what? Like, but I don't even know. Like, and it is sometimes what I saw when my boyfriend first had his stroke, we didn't know if he was going to live or die. I had so much intense feelings and I felt extremely emotional and I felt great. So I was not suffering. And I never experienced this brightness, this clarity. And on the outside, I could look like a giant mess, but I've never felt more free. And it was like, when I was reflecting, I'm like, that oddly felt good. Like, but it didn't feel good, but it was like actually allowing myself to feel my feelings so deeply, more deeply than I've ever felt anything, ever. And it was like, oh my God, if I'm feeling any feeling, I'm not suffering. It doesn't mean that also now I'm like, now I never suffer. But it was a really big turning point of like, oh my God, when I suffer, I'm resisting. Sometimes I still do.
Right.
And but I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's like I see these opportunities for me to continue to grow and evolve. And I'm so okay that I'm a human. Like it used to be a real big, I know there was a question in there, somebody asked about disappointment. Sometimes I'm so disappointed that I'm a human, but then I get over it because it's like there's this part of me that wants to be the best. And it's like, okay, I've heard this. So love and light, and I never resist, and I just feel, and I do it all perfectly. And then sometimes, yeah, I'm like, this is shitty, and I have a drink, and I'm like, oh my God, you ruined your perfect spiritual streak. And it's like, no. Like I'm a human.
I got a great story about a streak, a spiritual streak. So, like 5 years ago, I've been meditating on and off for, well, when I joined the Santa Monica Zen Center back in like 2002 or 2001, there was when I first learned how to do Zen meditation and what's called zazen. And when my son was born, I basically gave that up. I was going Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 o'clock in the morning to meditate for an hour, to do zazen for an hour, and then on Sundays for like 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my wife at 5 in the morning when she's nursing or, taking care of my, like, I'm in this. And I never went back. I never, and then I always thought, well, Zen is such a good meditation, so good for you. I should be doing this. And I thought, well, if I want to be the real deal, like, be the spiritual guy, I should be meditating. And I would always sit down to try to meditate. I would make it for like a minute or two. And then I'd be like, I don't have time for this. I got fucking 27 other things to do. Like, who has time to sit here and do nothing? Like, this makes no sense. And that story won for until 2020, where I met my teacher, my now current teacher. Who I should have a live with her. She her name's Natalie, and I met her through a plant medicine experience, and then I hired her to be my TM teacher. And when I got on that bandwagon, like, TM brought a level of ease to meditation that I didn't have with Zazen's very rigid. It's like the samurai method of meditation. It's like you're doing battle with your mind and you've got to do it, be strong, and which is great. It's a great method, but it's kind of advanced. I didn't realize it was advanced. And I think part of why I didn't resonate with it doing it on my own is because I always felt like I was failing. Like I could never get it. And TM introduced the idea that it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep. It doesn't matter if your thoughts go into the ether and you don't come back and don't even remember where you are. None of it matters. You're just accessing different depths of consciousness while you're meditating for 20 minutes. Then they give you a mantra, hopefully you come back to the mantra over the course of the 20 minutes. And I started using Insight Timer, and I've always believed in the power of streaks. They're powerful. So I started racking up days. Like, there was 10, there was 20, then I got to 100, and then I got to like 250. I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. Then I got to a year. I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I would do it when I was on a trip. I would, then I was more committed to the streak than I was meditating. And I was on day, like, I don't know, 700, and I was over two. Was I over 2 years? 365 times 2 is, no, I don't think I was over 2 years. I was just shy of 2 years. And I had come home from a trip. It was an early morning flight from the East Coast. We discovered a leak in beneath my basement. My whole mind was focused on this freaking leak, and it had been leaking for 3 weeks, and I was completely stressed out. And I woke up the next morning and I looked down at my insight timer and it said day 0. And I was like, oh my, couldn't I? It does give you the ability to go into the day before and add some time, but I would have been lying.
Yeah.
Now nobody would have known. I don't think I've ever told this story before. Nobody would have known that I was lying except me, but I couldn't do it. And then it was really hard for like 10 days. Like, oh my God, I'm on day 1. I'm on day 2. Like, shit. And I just keep going. Like now I don't have that same fixation on streaks because I think that's kind of a negative thing.
Yeah.
But like I'll do 100 days in a row, and then if I miss a day, I miss a day, whatever. But yeah, it's a funny thing about the thing you mentioned about streaks and about being spiritual and having this persona.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, Andy, I feel like I could just talk to you forever because I
Well, we
so
always run out of
relate.
time. I know we always run, no matter what we do. Like if we scheduled it for 2 hours, we'd be at 2 hours and going, "Oh my God, we could go for another 2 hours."
I know. And I was just thinking of like another thing, and I was like, wait, I'll be mindful so we can have an ending. But hopefully this
Yeah,
is the the start of more Instagram lives, or I know that I've always wanted to do something with you because I think we definitely have probably a crossover of people that relate to
yeah,
everything that we talk about.
yeah, yeah.
And I think I felt so close with you the first time, like we had coffee after CrossFit. And then I felt that same thing that you had said to your wife that I still feel. I'm like, I'm so happy that you're here in this world. And I feel like so I'm just so grateful that you did this live and that people in my world go over and follow Andy because you also do so many talking videos, which like I
Some people
listen
say
to.
it's too much, but yes,
No,
I do.
I love it. Like it because I get such a good feeling listening to you. I feel like you're so present, you're so grounded, and you're so just loving and accepting that it reflects like what I want for me. And so I've loved having you in my life, and I hope that people have found you as well. And
Thank
so
you, Lily. Thank you. Thank you. And I feel, like I could say basically everything back. It's funny. I think the first day we had coffee, uh, when it was like 2 or 3 months ago when we reconnected, I just felt like, how like well, I didn't say this before, but like I get these feelings around people where I feel like I'm home, and that's how I feel around you. Like I feel like there's this. I mean, from the moment we started speaking, it was like I don't even know what home is, but I'm home. Like this is I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm speaking to somebody that I absolutely love, and I barely know her. And there's nothing sexual or like I'm not there's no creepiness or I'm not looking for cheating on my wife or anything else. And there's never been that at all. It's just this like I want to surround myself with people where that pulls me forward, and you're one of those people, and I so appreciate what you do and the level of impact that you are having in the world. Like when one person's life's changed, it's a miracle, and you're doing it over and over and over and over again, and it's just such a blessing to have you in the world doing what you're doing.
thank you, Andy. I feel the same with you. And if anybody you're listening to, because that's how I feel with you. And I think that's what I'd want in a coach is like, actually when I had my first therapist, Beverly, who I love, I felt like I could tell her anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she'd be like, okay, here's what we'll do. And also I love my parents so much, but sometimes your parents are like, like
yeah,
they,
yeah, right, right.
and so it's nothing against them, but it was like Beverly, I felt like I was home actually
Yeah.
was, and she's who made me want to do something in the mental health field, be a therapist of my own. And so I think for anybody listening, like it's no greater gift to just I felt like this, yeah, like unconditional love, like I'm home. And I think that can be such a catalyst for one, just somebody, if not that you even need to change, but having the light, like probably it's just enjoying your beautiful life. Because as you said, often it's nothing needs to change on the outside. It's like, oh
Right.
my God, actually nothing's changed on the outside. I feel
Right.
completely different on the inside.
Right.
And I just really encourage people to give you a follow and check out your videos, check out your work, check
Thank
out
you.
your YouTube channel, because I know that they will love you just as much as I do. So thank
Thanks,
you.
Lily. All right. Well, until next time.
Until next time, bye everybody. Thank you for joining us.